because a lot of people thought when we signed Chuma Okeke that we lost the mid-level or we lost some salary cap or we lost a playoff rotation spot. We didn't. We didn't lose anything like that, folks. Right now, at this very moment, the Knicks still have that spot available on their roster, and they still have the mid-level exception available to them as well, too. So they can go out there and they can use it to get another player in free agency on this team. Now, who should that player be? Now, in my opinion, when you look at the roster, you should always use your money for a player that you need. Not a player that you like or you might need, a player that you need right now. So for today, we're going to talk about players that the Knicks can target with the mid-level exception. And for me, I'm going to focus on centers because that is the only player that I would want the Knicks to go after right now in terms of a free agent. A center that they can get on this roster to legitimately back up Mitchell Robinson and push Precious Achiuwa back to where he's comfortable, backing up Julius Randle at the backup 4 spot. Now, obviously, that's going to cut into his time because if he does that, Achiuwa is not going to see the floor that much because we know from Obi Toppin days, if you're backing up Julius Randle, you're not going to see the floor a lot, but maybe he's okay with that. I'm not sure at this point in time, but it's clear. If you have the mid-level left, you want to use it for players that you need. We're also going to cover some players that the Knicks don't necessarily need, but they're free agents, and the Knicks could potentially go after them. But for right now, let's take a look at that centers. So these are the lists right now of top free agent centers available that the Knicks can use their mid-level exception on. We have Bismack Biyombo, Tristan Thompson, Bojan Marjanovic, Omer Yurvitson, Harry Giles, JaVale McGee, Damian Jones, and Udoka Azubuike. So those are basically the top 8 names you can look at in terms of free agent centers available. Now, the list is not great. You can't expect the list to be the best, the most amazing list ever, but those are the free agent centers available right now. Out of all those players, we can go through some of them. I don't really think about Tristan Thompson too much. I know he's available, not somebody that I'm looking at. I know he has championship experience. Wouldn't mind if the Knicks went in that direction, but not seeing it. Same thing for Boban, not really seeing it as well, too. I know some fans in the Knicks organization, not Knicks organization, some Knicks fans, New York fans, actually love watching this kid play. So maybe that's a guy that you want to see the Knicks go after. Omer, I already covered him last week, and I'm going to do another video about Omer this Sunday at 10 p.m., so look out for that. But Omer, I'd like to see him as well, too. I think Omer, not only does he fit the skill set, but he's young enough to get better under Tom Thibodeau, and he wouldn't cost a lot. So maybe the Knicks do that as well, too. They might not even have to use their full mid-level, even though they can. Maybe they don't want to, but these are some options that they have. We're going to continue here. Harry Giles. Now, this is a guy who used to play with the Lakers. We're going to get into him because for me, there's only a few names on this list that I want the Knicks to go after, and Giles is one of them. JaVale McGee, not somebody. He's too old at this point in time. I don't care if he's won championships before. He's not on a roster for a reason. Maybe he comes here. Maybe he does something significant. But what if he has more McGee moments and makes more Shaq and the Fool moments? I don't want to see that on the Knicks. So in my opinion, let's not do that. Let's go ahead and skip over that and go to somebody else. Damian Jones, wouldn't mind him as well, although I don't know in terms of his availability. I think he's in talks right now to actually make a return, so I don't know exactly what his status is, but if he's available, wouldn't mind the Knicks looking at him. But let's go to some players that I think the Knicks should potentially go after on that list in terms of free agents. Again, don't go crazy at me. I'm not saying these are the names that I want the Knicks to go after without a doubt, definite. But if that's the list I'm working with, and those are the players available in free agency, and I have my mid-level available, then I'm going after these specific players. Bismack and Harry. These two guys are the guys I'm going to go after. Because for Bismack, he's a little bit older, yes, but he's a shot blocking specialist, as you're seeing here from Hoops Hype over here giving us this information. He's a shot blocking specialist who won't provide much else on either end of the floor, but can still have a role thanks to his rim protection. Now, listen, guys, say what you want to say about him. Say the fact that he's limited, won't give you that much in terms of points. He'll give you rebounds. He'll give you block shots. He'll give you defense. Who's our coach? Tom Thibodeau. So you're telling me he can't play some significant minutes off the bench? He'll be able to do that when necessary. And if he needs to start, he can do it as well too. There are levels to this. He's not the best pick, but he is somebody the Knicks can go after and potentially utilize. He does suffer from some injury concerns, so that is still there. I'm not saying he doesn't have his own issues as well. Every player on that list, mind you, has their own issues. You're not going to find the perfect player. That doesn't exist. So the best thing you can do is try to make the best out of the bad situation. And right now, in terms of making the best out of a bad situation, Bismack Biyombo, he's a player you look at. His 2023-2024 stats, again, didn't do much. 4.4 points, 2.2 rebounds, 1.3 assists, 56.5% from the field, 48.1% from the free throw line. Not great again, but you're not getting him to be an offensive threat. You're getting him as a backup to Mitchell Robinson. And if Mitchell Robinson goes down, this kid right here, this guy can still give you some still high-level defense. So if you lose Robinson, you still get some defense in Bismack as well, too. It might be a way for the Knicks to look at with their mid-level exception. Something to consider. His earnings last year was $5 million. Coincidentally, the Knicks have about $5.2 million in their mid-level. So if they sign him, he fits perfectly in there. That's potentially what the Knicks are going to do. May not like it, but that is a player to watch. Another player to watch, Harry Giles with the Los Angeles Lakers. He's a former superstar prospect who had injuries totally derail his career. Still retains some bounce, allowing him to be an around-the-basket finisher. His stats for last year, 2.1 points, 1.4 rebounds, 0.3 assists, 46% from the field, and 21.4% from the three-point range. His career earnings are $8 million, and last year he made $2.3 million. So clearly, the Knicks wouldn't even have to use the full mid-level exception. They could use the mid-level part of it to sign this kid. They don't even have to use the full mid-level. The problem is, if you do sign him, like they just stated, he has injury concerns, but the upside was ridiculous. It's crazy. And if he's not going to cost you that much money, maybe the Knicks like the upside and want to take a flyer out on this kid and give him a chance. If you give this kid a chance, you don't know what he can become. You don't know what he can, you don't know what he can become. You don't know what he can do. And you don't know what he can give this Knicks team if he's given the minutes to shine. Now, will he get those minutes as a backup on this team? If the Knicks really like him and they don't have any problem pushing Precious Achiuwa to the power forward backup, then I think you can make a case for Giles getting some legitimate time with this roster. Legitimate time might be 15 minutes. It might be 18 minutes. It might be more if Mitchell Robinson goes down. But that's an opportunity. And with the upside, how can you say no? And under Tom Thibodeau, he might be a very, very, very good player. Whether it's Bismack or whether it's Harry, I wouldn't mind either of these players because the Knicks have a need for them. But let's say they don't want to go after a center. Let's say they choose to pivot and say, you know what? I'm good with my centers. I'm good with Precious Achiuwa. Jericho Sims is fully healthy now, not dealing with injuries, working with Mike Bibby, working on the jump shot, the turnaround shot, his moves in the post. He might be somebody to look at. So I don't care right now. I'm good with centers. So maybe I don't want to look at that. So then you look at who are the other free agents that are not quote unquote centers. Maybe they have size, maybe they don't, that the Knicks could potentially use that mid-level on. Now, some of these players, they might be available, but I don't intend to say that the mid-level might be enough to sign them. Maybe it's enough because the Knicks are where they are right now. The Knicks, if you haven't noticed, are a contender. And sometimes when you're a contender, a player will take a little bit less to join you, either because they want a championship, they want to up their value, or the latter. They want to do everything else and that, everything plus that. So if that's the case, maybe that's why you join the Knicks. Let's go back and take a look at that list and take a look at the other free agents that potentially could be available. Shout out to Hoops Hype as well, too, for giving us that following list. We have Isaiah Okoro, Lonnie Walker, C.D. Osman, Taylor Horton-Tucker, Landry Shamet, Markelle Fultz, Dennis Smith, Doug McDermott, Jay Crowder, Marcus Morris, and Jordan Goodwin. So all of those players right now, they're not the only free agents, obviously. There's a lot of other free agents. But that's primarily the top 10, 11 players that you would look at right now in free agency if they're available and saying, could I get one of those players on my team? Could I sign one of those players on my team? Now, some of the smaller players I'm not going to go after. I'm not going to even want the Knicks to go after. It doesn't really make sense to me. If you're going to go after another player that's not a center, it would have to be a power forward or it'd have to be some type of forward, in my opinion, because that's where the need exists as well, too. If Achua is going to be the backup big, then you go after the other players that can play backup to Julius Randle. And on this list, there's not that many options there. I definitely don't want Lonnie Walker. Wouldn't mind a City Osman if it was right in terms of the money and he would accept a lower contract. Wouldn't mind that. I actually wouldn't even mind the Jay Crowder because I feel like if you can get past the attitude issues, if he's playing in the right organization, we've seen him play very good basketball. Marcus Morris, I definitely wouldn't mind him coming back as well, too. But again, it's all about if the Knicks can afford these guys. I like their intention. I love their mindset. I love their attitude. I love the fact that they want to win. And if you have those players on your bench, the type of leader that they are, the veteran presence that they can give you, especially a Marcus Morris. And Marcus, man, that kid, his attitude, the way he tries to defend his players, I mean, that's the type of player you want as well, too. Somebody who can contribute on and off the floor. That's somebody else you can look at. I'm not saying the Knicks are going to go in that direction, but it's something to consider. They don't have to go after a center. I want them to go after a center because when you look at the team, that's the obvious need. It's obvious. You can look at every single position right now, the depth chart and everything. Center is making me nervous. It's Robinson, Achua, and Sims. That's your center depth for a championship roster. You'd be scared. You'd be worried. You'd want to be looking at different names, different free agents, different players that you can get. And I'm not saying any of these names stops the bleeding, but at least if you get one of them, it gives me more confidence that if Mitchell Robinson goes down, that at least you have somebody else, a body there that plays that position more naturally that can help this roster. Bismack, for me, makes the most sense because he fits the mid-level. He fits all of it. He fits Tom Thibodeau. He'll play the defense. He can play backup. He's already done that. And he maybe his minutes will be limited, but he's going to be coming off the bench. I don't mind that. If you enjoyed these clips from the live show, be sure to subscribe to the channel and have notifications turned on so you don't miss any new episodes or when we go live. Thanks for watching, Knick fans, and until next time, peace.